Hello, dear friends, brothers, and sisters. Welcome to another episode, in our series of Absolute Happiness. This is the 22nd episode, and the title that we have given to this episode is Light and Darkness. You see, uh, human beings are always moving through light and darkness, through day and night. There is, you see, always a stop and there is a start. There is a ebb and there is a flow. If we say that, you see, our thoughts, you see, some are of a positive nature, right, which we may call as light, and then some of our thoughts are of a dark nature, right, which create disturbances. Similarly, we have feelings, which bring happiness to us, that we may call as light, and then there are feelings that create stress in us, you see. So we are moving through these good thoughts and good feelings, which you may call as light, and through bad thoughts and bad feelings. So this movement is always there. You see, there are many examples in nature where this can be very clearly understood. Look at the phases of the moon. You see, there is a 28-day cycle. So what happens is that when we go from new moon to full moon, it takes about 14 days. And during this rise, which we may call as the day, or which may call as the light, you see, we have a lot of magnetic energy coming towards us. That is a scientific fact. So what happens is that as a result of this magnetic energy, all our activity moves to the level of the head, and we are very, very active. But then what happens once the full moon starts going down, until it completely disappears, and then the new moon comes again. So during this negative phase, of the moon going down, until there is no moon, the magnetic energy decreases, right? And what happens is that we become more emotional during this period. This is a scientific fact, and our activity has actually moved from the head down to where our sensual, and in particular where our sexual organs are, below the navel, right? So you can see the light and the darkness in the full cycle of the moon. 14 days, lot of magnetic energy, very active, light. 14 days, moon going down, very little negative energy, more anxiety builds up. That is the darkness. You see, there is another very beautiful example. If you look at the seasons, you see the seasons are autumn, winter, then spring and summer. Now, you see, spring and summer are actually like the light, right? Why? Because if you look at all the trees, the shrubs, the plants, if you look at their leaves, they are full of green leaves during spring and summer, and the activity moves up because the food is manufactured at the upper part of these trees or plants as a result of the leaves, the chlorophyll, the photosynthesis happening because of the sun, and that is how they actually grow, and the fruits come, and flowers come, right? But then what happens in autumn and in winter, which is like the darkness, you see, that is the dark cycle, because what happens is there are no more leaves on many of these shrubs, plants and trees, and the activity moves down below the ground. You see, it goes into the roots, and during autumn and winter, their food is manufactured by means of the roots which are underground. So again, you can see in the four seasons, at one time the activity is at the top when there is light, spring and summer, and then in winter the activity has gone down in autumn and winter. the activity has gone down below the ground. Let's take another example. You see, a human baby, lives in the womb of her mother for a darkness of 9 months, because the only sensations that it gets is only from the environment of that womb. It is just enclosed there, and after that it comes out into the light, and then we can say that it spends a life of 90 years, which may be compared as the light. But even in those 90 years, you see, as the child or as we are growing, we are alternating between day and night, right? Another cycle, another example is which we go through every day is we wake up in the morning, there is light, there is the day, right? And we are active throughout the day. And then what happens when it comes to night time? We melt away, we go to sleep, we have no more individuality. You see, we unite with the cosmos, and that is when a lot of energies come into us, and then we are ready for the next day. So you see, it is interesting to note that during the day we are expending energy, giving actually energy out. Is that a negative thing to do with the day or the light? And on the other hand, when it is night, we are resting, we are recouping, we have lost our individuality, we are not spending energy. So, is that something which is a very big positive? Is that a very big virtue which is given to us, to human beings, because of darkness? So, here we can say that darkness is good and light is actually not that good. Your individuality returns in the morning, all your stress, all your pain, or your worries, or whatever your happiness may be, that also actually comes back, and you start spending energy that you have recouped during the night. You see, following these lines, it's quite interesting to note that you see, the great teachers have actually described darkness as the mother of light, or light as the daughter of darkness. Now, this is quite striking and quite interesting. You see, if you look at the sun, the moon, the stars, our planets, one can really actually understand this, because before these came, you see, there was a great obscurity, right? There was a great darkness, or in Sanskrit, they call it pralay, right? So, in this darkness, great work was actually undertaken, and then came the light, and then we can see the planets, the stars, our solar system, our sun, and all that. So, here as well, you can see that light has come from darkness, not taking away the fact that when light comes, it dissipates darkness, right? So, following along these lines, you see another very beautiful example which nature has actually given, where we can say that light is the daughter of darkness. Is, you see, you look at a piece of coal, coal, which we dig out from the ground, from the coal mines. You take a piece of coal, it is actually dark. Look at it. It's completely black, it's completely dark. But the moment you ignite it, you set fire to it, what happens? A flame comes out. It becomes actually red. So from here, actually, you can see that that coal, which is black, actually has been hiding this light within it, and then the light is issuing forth from that dark coal, that flame, that red light is actually coming out. So this is an outstanding example of how nature has explained to us that apparently darkness is actually, you see, the mother of light. So that's just a piece of additional knowledge. But you see, what actually we have to note is that there is nothing bad in either darkness or in light. Now, you will say, why? Darkness is bad. Well, that is not the case, you see, because these are only just two entities created by nature, and they are actually performing their task that they've got to perform. And as I'd already told you, that if we don't go to sleep, if we don't lose our individuality, if we don't become one with the cosmos when we are sleeping, then there is no way that we will have enough energy to carry on with our day-to-day life. And during the day, anyway, we are giving out energy, not recouping it. You got to look at everything in its correct perspective. So there is nothing bad either in darkness or in light. But you see, what we call as evil is in the minds of human beings. You see, this evil which is there, the way we think, this evil is what we have got to really attack and get rid of. So you see, coming to the end of this short video on light and darkness, let us look at a few exercises that how actually we can overcome forces which are of a dark nature. You see, say sometimes there's an environment in which you are full of stress, right? Or there are thoughts and feelings coming into you which are producing anxiety, which are producing fear in you, or you're sweating. So how do you overcome that? This is a simple exercise, right? What you do is that you breathe in and breathe out, right? So what you have to do is you breathe in and breathe out, and you be a witness to that breath, and for 12 breaths. So 12 breaths, breathe in, breathe out is one. You watch it. So you do it 12 times, watching that breath coming and going, right? Then your attention will be diverted. And after that, your balance will actually be restored. Then there is another example which we can look at. You see, when there is anything which causes disturbance to you, or there is an imbalance in your nature, what you do is you count from 1 to 7, and you count 3 times, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you count like that 3 times from 1 to 7, and what will happen is after the third time, your balance will naturally be restored, because you got to keep in mind that feelings and thoughts travel at a very high speed, right? They travel at a very high speed, and by the time you finish, your attention is diverted, and equilibrium is actually restored. Then let us look at another thing. You see, always, you see, this requires a little bit of practice. Always, when there are any bad thoughts or feelings or activity coming, what you do is that all these bad thoughts which are coming, these bad feelings which are coming, you replace them. Replace them with good thoughts and good feelings. Let me give you an example. Say I do a photocopy, and when I look at that photocopy, it is all completely black, right? So then what I do is, then I do say about 50 photocopies, and all these photocopies are completely white. So that which was black is now covered right at the bottom, and there's a pile of 50 white like paper copied, which is on top of that. So that is actually completely gone. Similarly, you see, when there is a bad thought or a bad feeling coming into you, just replace it by good thoughts and good feelings. Continue replacing it by good thoughts and good feelings. Of course, this requires a lot of practice, but your balance, your equilibrium, your happiness will be restored very quickly. Okay, then let's look at one last exercise. You see, always try to be involved in positive activities. How actually you do that? You see, anything, any thought or feeling which is of a negative nature, which is going to cause disturbance to you and is going to cause disturbance to others, you don't entertain it. Just let it go. You see, that is the key word, that don't pay attention to these bad thoughts and bad feelings. And anything which is of a good nature, anything which is a good thought or a good feeling which brings happiness to you, and which when you will discuss with others will bring happiness and peace to them, you only undertake that, right? So this way what will happen is, though it sounds simple, but you just have to mentally prepare yourself to follow this, right? This will bring peace to you and peace to everyone, and this is how you will always be involved in activities which are of a positive nature, right? Don't be involved in any activity which is of a negative nature. So that brings this episode of Light and Darkness to a close. I hope that it will help you, especially the exercises, to lead a more peaceful and a happier life. You see, once actually we are able to treat both light and darkness with the same outlook, that is when we reach a state which we call as unbroken peace, unconditional love, and what we call as absolute happiness. That it is a peace, you may have never known, which is not broken just by mere circumstances, which are good or which are bad, good thoughts or good feelings or bad activity. You see, your equilibrium will be restored if you can treat both light and darkness, good forces and the dark forces, with an outlook which has a stability and equality towards everything. So I thank you very much for having given your time, your very precious time, to have listened to this video. I hope this video will help you in your day-to-day life, to bring you peace, to bring you closer to absolute happiness. With that, thank you very much. Bye bye, and we'll meet with you all in another episode. Thank you. Namaskar.